The Korean independence movement was a series of peaceful protests in Korea to win Korean independence from colonial Japanese rule. While it ultimately was not able to achieve this goal, it was able to bring nationwide attention to the plight of its people, influencing the rise of anti-imperialist movements and resistance in China, the Philippines, and Egypt. Despite living in a society dominated by social and gender discrimination, women of all ages and walks of life were able to rise to the forefront of the movement, fanning the flames of independence and marching with Korean pride. The most extraordinary feature of the uprising of the Korean people is the part taken in it by the girls and women. Less than 20 years ago, a man might live in Korea for years and never come in contact with the Korean woman of the better classes, never meet her on the street, never see her in the homes of his Korean friends. Frederick Arthur Mackenzie, Foreign Journalist, 1920. In the time preceding the Korean independence movements, Korean society was largely dominated by Confucian culture. Women were expected to stay in the domestic sphere while the outside world was the men's domain. In the 20 years before the independence movements, the establishment of girls' schools allowed young women to learn about the world outside of their traditional sphere. However, it was still heavily divided. Women and men strictly kept their distance from each other. Girls needed permission from their fathers when they wanted to go out, and they were not allowed to speak about politics and society. Women were expected to strictly preserve their chastity, for example, by dressing conservatively so as not to show their bodies. Yet despite these social restrictions, young women were able to organize demonstrations and become leaders in the March First movement, regardless of social class, age, or occupation. The support of students was crucial to the coordination of the March First movement and other subsequent movements. In preparation for the actual March First movement, female students started secret organizations dedicated to the independence movement. They spent their time studying during the day and writing copies of the Korean Declaration of Independence at night. Using a rice bowl to trace a circle and draw, they would paint copies of the national flag. Making use of their full skirts to their advantage, they hid the copies under their clothes to distribute door to door. Female students were the most active in Seoul, organizing and leading countless Mansa demonstrations. At the time, Japanese authorities believed that there was a mastermind behind the girls conducting these demonstrations, desperately looking for who they believed to be a man. However, there was no such thing. In actuality, the girls only had their network and fierce determination in what they were doing. When questioned by police, 14-year-old Jung-hae Kim of Mokpo's Jongmyeon Girls' School shouted back, "Why are you saying we can't fight without being manipulated by teachers? Are you saying only grown-ups in Japan love their country but children don't? In Korea, even a mere child knows how to love their country. We are already grown-up ladies of 14 or 15 years old." Arrested schoolgirls were interrogated by Japanese police in hopes of uncovering the mastermind they firmly believed had to exist. This belief would serve to undermine the efforts of the schoolgirls in the movement and their love for their country, as the Japanese authorities viewed them as foolish little girls who were incapable of doing things themselves. However, from another perspective, this worked to the benefit of the young girls as authorities undermining them placed less scrutiny and suspicion on their actions. The girls continued to be brave and stand their ground in the face of Japanese authorities. Yoon Hee-oh of Hosedong Girls High School, arrested on March 3, 1919, from the Mansa demonstration in Kaesong, answered her interrogator, "When it's dawn, do roosters cry under the command of someone? We rise up because it's time to become independent." Through their hard work, bravery, and sheer determination, the schoolgirls of the Korean independence movements are remembered as fierce freedom fighters who placed their lives on the line for the country they loved. When we were first stationed here, we never saw the Gyeongsang courtesans drinking or dancing or playing around. The 8,000 Kiseng seemed less like courtesans than independence fighters. Sparks flew from their red lips, and they kindled the fire of independence in the hearts of the Joseon youth who came to be entertained. Japanese policeman Shiba Ryo, report to Government General, August 1919. Kiseng were trained courtesans, skilled in arts such as poetry, calligraphy, dance, and singing. Despite their perceived status, they played an instrumental role in the Korean independence movement. Since they existed outside of women's natural space, the home, they were able to interact with men and receive information about society as a whole. They used their unique social standing to fan the flames of independence among their customers. The Kiseng stage organized Mansa demonstrations in several cities, the most well-known being in Suwon and Jeju. Beginning March 25, 1919, There are protests in Suwon every day, begun by the Suwon Kiseng Association. The Kiseng marched to the front of the public hospital, others joining in. When Japanese military police came to arrest them, the crowd protected the Kiseng and surrounded the hospital, shouting manse. In Haeju, a group of 5 Kiseng formed a close-knit association and became independence fighters. They decided to start protesting on April 1st at 10 a.m. Because they couldn't obtain copies of the Declaration of Independence issued on March 1st, 2 of the members wrote it in the Korean alphabet and mass distributed it to other demonstrators. In Tongyong, 2 members of the Tongyong Kiseng Association, Hong Do-jung and Kuki Lee, sold their gold hairpins and rings to buy 4 rolls of cloth, which the Kiseng made into Korean flags and carried in protests. The Kiseng inspired housewives and those considered the lower class of society, the butchers' wives, to leave the house and join the protests. Young women from all levels of society stepped out of their traditional roles and took up the flag of independence. In various demonstrations all over the country, they cried manse, refusing to back down from Japanese authorities. They entered the streets, leading the march of protesters, musical instruments, butcher's knives, and Korean flags held high. Throughout the course of Korean history, the Korean independence movement was the first time where boundaries in social class, gender, and occupation were completely broken. Korean women throughout the movement used it as an opportunity to prove that they were just as capable as men in their world of social change. From young schoolgirls to artistic courtesans to housewives and butchers' wives, the independence movement was led by brave women who stood in the face of adversity, fighting for the future of their country.